Hey everybody, it's Chris. I'm out here with JJ today, and what we're going to do is be showing you just a little bit of a comparison between two bushcraft knives that are super popular out there. All I'm going to do is go through general use of these guys out in a field environment and just discuss some of the things that I may or may not like about either one of them, but just to understand that these are both very awesome knives. They just have a little bit of different use characteristics. So the first one I'm going to talk about, and I apologize that these are all dirty, but a field knife should be dirty a lot. You can see this is the Esee 4. Once again, this is a very, very popular knife, and it is a very, very good knife. With this full tang blade, additionally it's got the nice G10 or micarta handles that are on here, but it also has the finish over the steel of the blade itself, and it's got the cool little Esee logo and Esee 4 down here. But what we're going to do is utilize this as far as breaking down some of the things for some of the tasks that you may have as far as either making steaks or as far as building a fire. So first thing we're going to do is get a nice beater stick, and we're going to try to abuse this guy, and I doubt it's going to break, but I'm just going to talk about the use of it itself. So what we have here is a nice good round stock that you would either be breaking down just for a field environment, most commonly going to be for fires themselves. But just discussing the use itself, it's a very, very well balanced blade and has a very, very flat belly to the blade itself, so it's great for cutting laterally down through here.
And the reason we demonstrate these split wood fire techniques on knives like this is because it's the worst case scenario. It's like, this is the hardest beating that a knife can take, and in a field environment, right? I mean, that's kind of the general idea behind demonstrating these. Would you agree with that, Chris?
That is 100%, because one of the biggest things that people make the misconception of is that price points determine the true value and true quality of a knife. That's just not true. With these guys, I've seen them as low on the internet for about 90 bucks, but I promise you, you can beat this thing and it's always going to ask you for more. So as you can see, what we took down, dead standing tree. Now this is a pine, it's not an oak or any hardwood, but what I did, I have my 5-pound wood mallet over here, and it's just beating on the tip of the blade in order to be able to drive the center of the blade through the center of this in order to be able to break down an exposed surface area. As you can see on it, really all it did was kind of clean it up. There's no deformation of the blade. It was actually very easy to use. The only thing, I've got a little bit wider palms, so one of the things that can happen is you can generate just a little bit of a hot spot because this handle is thin, but it's very good, very grippy, and never thought that I was going to be out of control of the blade in itself as I was starting to go through and do this. Additionally, one of the other methods that we always utilize with this for firecraft techniques is going to be the twist split method, as we start to drive the tip of the blade, which is normally going to be one of the weakest portions, that and where the blade itself meets down into the tang. So what we're going to do is try to beat this guy and try to deform the tip of it itself, try to break it off. So as you can see from the side of that, we're going through stock that's nice, dry, and seasoned. And go back to the tip of it. Only thing that happened is a little bit of the finish came off the back of it, which is totally fine with me. Because this thing is going to survive. And to be fair and to be totally honest and truthful, I've been using this particular Esee 4 for field events and field craft for probably about the last 4 months. Same thing, same task that you guys are going to see here that we're doing, and this is the extent of the damage that I've been able to do to this thing. So it's tough as nails. It's very, very well worth the money, and it's designed by Esee, which is a great outdoor company as well.
You want to take a look at the sheath real fast?
Absolutely.
We have that available.
So the sheath itself is your nice Kydex here. I like the positive feel in it as far as when it snaps in. but it also is audible when it comes out. So if you are moving around in a field environment and you get into some deadfall or some snag, you're going to hear this guy come out, or it's going to be very, very obvious that the thing is trying to come out because it has a very positive lockup with these two little plastic lugs down here. Additionally, you have a belt clip that's an add-on, and depending on which kits that you get through Esee for the particular knife itself, you can have the belt clip. There's also, I guess, what you could consider a drop belt holster,
right,
that it sits on. But additionally, you have these 6 lanyard holes, and it'd actually be 10 without the belt clip on here. So if you want to affix it to a pack or anything like that, you're good to go for outerwear. And then also, like with most of the knives in this class, you have your lanyard on the back of it as well.
And what are we looking for, or looking at as far as materials?
Materials, as far as the knife itself, I believe these are still made out of 1095. Additionally, it's all stainless steel hardware. It's inside of here as well, and you're looking at G10. With this,
is that G10 or micarta?
Micarta, sorry.
Okay.
And the sheath itself is
it's kind of like a thermal injected plastic.
Thermal injected ABS plastic. So you can normally tell when you start to cut into them how easy or how hard it is, and you can see that this plastic is not soft by any means. All I've been able to do is just scrape a little bit off of there.
Very cool.
So once again, tough as nails, very well worth your time. You can go on Esee Knives, ESEE knives.com, and find the entire series of the Esees.
And we'll have some Amazon links in the description below for those as well, if you guys want to take a look at them. So what's the other knife we got?
The next knife within the same category, more or less a bushcraft or a field knife, is going to be the Spyderco Bushcraft UK. So one thing about this is it's a very, very beautiful knife.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And a lot of people would have a hesitation to take this and use it out in a field environment, but that's terrible, because this is designed to be a no kidding, hard as nails, tough as a rock field knife. And I want to show you guys in comparison, because some of you may have had Esees in hand, but maybe not necessarily a Spyderco. But I want to show you just kind of the blade thicknesses and the material used on here. Now the material for the Spyderco is going to be an 01 tool steel. With that, one of the biggest things to take into consideration, whereas the Esee has this nice coating, and really the only thing you're concerned about as far as rust or maintenance is going to be along the blade, you really have to be cognizant of cleaning this guy and making sure that it's oiled so that you don't get that surface rust.
And what's the circle for on the blade? The hole?
I believe that's because it's a Spyderco knife. I would like to say something charming and cool and bushcrafty to where that's where you affix for the spear or for the deadfall predator trap. However, it's because it's a Spyderco.
There we go.
Also, just going through some of the features, since we just went through some of the ones on the Esee, is we have the nice lanyard hole down here on the bottom, and there's two striking differences between the two, and which makes them almost not even look in the same category. But the blade, the actual cutting length, is almost identical, and the length of the knife is almost identical. However, the handle is a lot wider, and the handle has been worked as well.
The Spyderco is probably a lot more comfortable than.
In some cases, and it really just is going to depend on your hand size and how you use them. This one fits perfectly for me because the center bump right here is actually spaced out between the two center, my middle finger and my ring finger. So it allows me a really positive lockup on this when I'm using it. The other big difference is going to be the grind on the blade itself. So you have that Scandi grind across the top, which makes this thing a laser when you're trying to go through media or stock like this in these environments. So same thing, honesty and advertisement. All right, we tried to beat this guy up, so we're going to do the exact same thing with this beautiful, beautiful knife from Spyderco. And I'm actually going to be a little bit harder on the Spyderco because it's brand new and I don't have any dents in it. So we're actually going to take a bigger piece of stock and see how far we get through it before either the knife becomes unmanageable or we just get too far down on the stock to where it's not safe to do it. And keep in mind again, this isn't rotten wood, this is dead, seasoned pine.
Yeah, it's pretty solid stuff.
And and we're going through
mean,
knots.
It's softwood, but there's it's not super friendly with all the knots and all that.
And this was where that grind makes a huge difference on the knife itself.
For me, a 4-inch blade is probably about the shortest blade length that I would try to do a split wood fire with. Is that kind of your thought too?
It is, just like the same reason you don't want a really short axe,
right.
Because they're heat-seeking missiles for your femoral arteries.
Yeah.
Because if you miss, the price is a lot higher than with a longer bladed knife. I want to say these are 5 1/4 inch, both of them. But as you guys can see, tried to beat the hell out of this Spyderco all the way down. I've gotten to the point where I can physically split this.
Mm-hmm.
I can continue to pound down on this guy. And let's see.
Woo! There it is. And she's done. Nice.
All right. So as you guys can see, we got knots all the way through here. But once again, what that grind on here allows this guy to do is to track very, very well, especially when you're splitting large portions of this. Obviously, it's not something you normally split to that size. But let's take a look at the knife itself. Got a little bit of pitch on the back of the blade. Trying to see if there's any indentations, deformations, anything like that. And this dude's 100% intact. Now let's look across the blade itself. I got nothing. There's no deformations, there's no dents, there's no chipping, there's nothing. And hardest portion that we're hitting, the one that receives the most attention when we're being mean to it, is up at the tip. And
you want to do some of the twist split with
absolutely.
that one? What's the price on the Spyderco Bushcraft?
I want to say I've seen them for about 174 all the way down to 130.
Okay.
I don't know necessarily what the MSRP is on them.
But the D2 or the D1 tool steel is
the
definitely a higher cost steel. So
it is. It's a higher cost.
You've also got a lot more fit and finish on the
You do,
handle, and
you have the nice handles and everything.
and that's a micarta. That's like a polished micarta, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and by no means am I saying the Esee is not as comparable of a knife. The only thing, just from my hands, the Spyderco is a lot more comfortable, and I have purchased because the handle is thicker.
Yep.
All right, so once again, same thing as we did before. We do that twist split method. We're going to put a lot of pressure on the tip of the blade itself.
Boom.
There we go. I'm going to do that knot there.
Yep.
And then one more for good measure.
And what does the sheath look like on the Bushcraft?
The sheath itself is, I have to show you
Okay.
because it's on me, it's
Yeah,
black leather, full grain leather, very beautiful.
Yep.
And this sits down very, very far down inside of it, so it's
Perfect.
not necessarily
Yeah, that's nice.
an issue as far as losing it. The only thing I could see over time, especially big outdoorsman, big bushcraft guy, if you don't treat the leather, especially the environments, anything like that, you can have tearing because it's only riveted in here.
Gotcha.
So you have to constantly be cognizant of what's going on
Very cool.
right here, so you don't lose it. But aside from that, pull both these guys back out real quick. Show you that if you're in the mood to try to find you a new field knife, and you don't have either of these two, either one's going to be an amazing choice, and they're going to be tough as nails, and they're going to be able to do everything that you need them to do.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Chris.
No problem.
Appreciate it. We will have some links to those down in the description. And as always, guys, we definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.
And don't forget the 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance.
Good job. Thanks, buddy.